the Islamic Republic of Iran has made significant progress.
Javad Zarif has long been viewed in the West as the respectable face of the Iranian regime. A relative moderate, educated in the US and apparently at ease there and in Europe. But the Americans are no longer prepared to deal with him. In a statement, the US Treasury said, Javad Zarif implements the reckless agenda of Iran's supreme leader and is the regime's primary spokesperson around the world. The United States is sending a clear message to the Iranian regime that its recent behavior is completely unacceptable. That behavior has included alleged raids on oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz and the shooting down of a US drone. But relations between Washington and Tehran have been in freefall ever since Donald Trump's unilateral decision to tear up the nuclear deal Iran had made with the West and to reinstate sanctions. The US National Security Advisor John Bolton defended the decision to sanction Zarif.
I think it's a very significant decision that the president made. We announced about a month ago we were going to do it. Now we're carrying through on it, and it sends a signal that we consider Javad Zarif, the foreign minister, an illegitimate spokesman for Iran.
But in a tweet, Zarif responded, "It has no effect on me or my family, as I have no property or interests outside of Iran. Thank you for considering me such a huge threat to your agenda." Despite all this, the US president says he's still willing to talk to the Iranian leadership at any time. But with Tehran's top diplomat having been so publicly humiliated, the possibility that the Iranians might want to negotiate with Donald Trump appears more remote than ever. John Brain, TRT World, Washington.
Well, for more, let's go to Jamal Abdi, president of the National Iranian American Council. He joins us now from Washington, D.C. Welcome to Money Talks, Jamal. Now, what do you make of the US's new sanctions on Javad Zarif? What is he trying to achieve here?
This is the continuation of an all-out assault on diplomacy by figures within the White House who I think are concerned that Donald Trump may actually end up talking to the Iranians and beginning to move away from maximum pressure and onto some sort of diplomatic track. So systematically, options for a diplomatic resolution to the standoff are being taken off the table by measures like this preposterous sanction against Iran's top diplomat.
Interesting. So you don't necessarily believe that it's Donald Trump himself who's behind this?
I think that a decision was made recently in which some in the administration argued that the U.S. should not renew waivers that allow for the Iran deal to move forward in terms of putting restrictions on Iran's nuclear program. So there was work being done inside of Iran that Russia and other states are engaged in, and the administration decided to issue those waivers. The hardliners in the administration argued against that, and I think as a consolation prize, they were given this sanction against Zarif, which they had been calling for publicly for, I think, nearly a month. I think Donald Trump sits in the middle of all this and sort of likes to watch it happen and thinks that he's the ultimate deal maker and that these actions actually strengthen his hand. And I don't know if he realizes just how much this actually sets him back and frankly boxes him in where there's not going to be any possibility for a deal. And I think that makes people like John Bolton and Mike Pompeo very happy.
Yes, there really has been a change of tone in the Trump administration's approach, hasn't there? Because the US has previously said that it wants unconditional talks with Iran, even as it reimposed economic sanctions on the country. But what do you think will it take now for the US to not only talk with Iran, but I guess roll back those sanctions?
The administration is not leaving many options. There are potentially third-party interlocutors who could try to facilitate something. But what the action against Zarif does is it makes it not just difficult on the U.S. side to find the right party to engage with if the U.S. was actually interested to do so. It makes it that much harder on the Iranian side to actually take the U.S. up on this. And it was already politically, nearly impossible for the Iranians to engage the U.S., given that so much political capital was invested by advocates of diplomacy inside of Iran in order to get the nuclear deal. And the U.S., by pulling out, undercut them and made that job so difficult. So I think really what is going to need to happen is there will need to be change. I don't want to say regime change, but there will need to be change on the U.S. side. John Bolton is going to need to be fired in order for, hopefully somebody new, whether that is, Rand Paul, the senator from Kentucky, has been floated as somebody who could be an envoy to Iran. But I think that there are institutional barriers to that in the form of the people that Donald Trump has put in charge of these decisions. And until they are gone, I don't see the American bureaucracy being able to figure out a way to actually get back to the table, because I don't think that the leaders of this policy actually want to get to the table.
Okay, Jamal Abdi, we'll have to leave it there, but thank you again for joining us from Washington.